Lauren Southern, How My Trad Life Turned Toxic. The online ideology doesn't work in real life. This is from Unherd by Mary Harrington. Lauren Southern seems to be suffering under the delusion that she's a victim of right-wing bullying and that she's a victim of tradwife culture, which she supposedly tried and which spiraled into kind of a nightmare. You know, to take her at face value, her experience in this marriage does indeed seem like a nightmare. So that much we don't argue about. You know, as far as I'm concerned, the tradwife thing, in my socioeconomic bracket, pretty much everyone is working regardless. So you can, like, put your politics to the side. That is just a moot kind of discussion, which is largely online, I think, admittedly. But I do not disparage it because who am I to say if people want to try to achieve a trad life and a trad wife, then I think that's all good. But Lauren Southern, apparently in a bid for attention or pity or sympathy or perhaps notoriety or just more fame, is portraying herself as a victim of trying to be a trad wife. She's trying to do what she read on the internet, but it didn't work. According to the article, she, quote, did her best to live a purist internet ideology to the letter. I don't know if she lived it to the letter. For one thing, her big cause as an internet personality was going against immigration. She was very hardline against it. However, her husband was a Southeast Asian from Australia. So that was an interesting choice, number one. Nothing wrong with that, but it doesn't exactly sound like a purist internet ideology to the letter. Quote, the online trad life ideology has distilled a version of these roles that's both rigid and wildly oversimplified, and thus woefully ill-equipped for real life in ways that pose significant risks for women in such marriages. But it's not like Southern's husband was an emissary from such a right-wing culture. We don't know anything about him, but what we do know kind of doesn't comport with that at all. And for myself, I don't purport to have some kind of trad life either. I mean, I've dated women of different backgrounds, and I think it's all good. But if that failed, I wouldn't say, oh, I tried trad life. Basically, I've done the opposite of trad life, and so is Lauren Southern, but she just doesn't realize it yet. And if we were to take Southern's account at face value, it sounds like her husband was a prick and a weirdo. That doesn't really have ideological implications, despite this overwrought think piece, which is a staple of these women who write at Unherd. They're not, like, you can tell they think that they're epic writers. It's like, no, just please stop. Please don't write a 10,000-word article about something that doesn't even deserve, like, 500 words. It's this very facile quality, purports to be against the conventional wisdom, hence unheard. It's unheard. I mean, that's a clever name, but that's where the cleverness ends, apparently. So here's from the article, quote, he'd lock me out of the house. I remember having to knock on the neighbor's door on rainy nights because he'd get so upset and drive off without unlocking the house. It was very strange to go from being this public figure on stage with people clapping to the girl crying, knocking on someone's door with no home to get into, being abandoned with a baby. So, yeah, that actually does sound kind of horrible, and it sounds like this guy was indeed psycho. But I don't think this is representative of, you know, trad life or trad wife. I think she married some kind of guy that's completely outside those circles. And in fact, people in the kind of online right are quite mystified by her choice, and now she wants to use this bizarre choice as a way to put forward as proof that their ideas don't work. And to me, it's not consistent. It's a little hypocritical, at least. And again, I'm not myself an emissary from trad life. I'm just a guy who read this article and thought it was quite ridiculous. I think she herself is kind of self-absorbed, but she doesn't have the self-awareness to realize it. And I think the writer for Unheard is also self-absorbed just by her annoying writing style and constantly talking about herself. In an article that's purportedly about Lauren Southern, neither of which topics are particularly interesting, except to the extent that, you know, it's kind of like it's a cringe-worthy situation. So to the extent that we enjoy that, a little bit of Schadenfreude, then then that's the extent to which we enjoy it. But quite honestly, I couldn't make it through the whole article. Like this video if you liked it, and do subscribe to my channel.